You're listening to Siris Says podcast. Join us as we transcend cultural barriers and elevate diverse voices. Here, we inspire, inform, and empower one story at a time. Let's dive in. Welcome back to Siris Says, y'all. Today I have somebody who has actually worked on me. He's a chiropractor. His name is Dr. Mike Fontana, and he really focuses on mobility. Fun fact, I came here because I was actually suffering from chronic pain in my back, and he was able to help me. So yeah, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me. Good to see you again.
Nice.
Good to see you in one piece.
Thank you. I know, I'm doing much better, thank you. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit of what
Sure.
you do to the listeners?
Of course, yeah. My name's Michael, local chiropractor in San Jose. Been doing it now for a year on my own. Second year technically in practice. Yeah, like Siris said, very much into mobility, lots of other things as well. We're not the standard, hey, you come in, get adjusted, send you on your way. We definitely dive a little bit deeper into like what's going on with you, and we try to do our best to help you as best as we can.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What got you into chiropractic?
It kind of stems back to when I was younger. I had some injuries growing up. I was an athlete, I guess you could say, did lots of different sports and obviously had some injuries. Worked with different health professionals over the years. Never worked with a chiropractor until I had a very serious injury that sort of set me back. And I just wasn't able to be myself, and I wanted to get back on the field, get back on my dirt bike, do the things I love to do, and met a really good guy, and he really just changed my whole mindset on what the profession was and what they could offer. And I thought, man, this would be kind of cool, like that, having a job like this where I make people feel as good as he made me feel. And so I dove into it a little bit deeper. I actually worked for him for several years, and I liked it much more. And I figured it out. I go, yeah, I think this is what I want to do. I could see myself doing this.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's very inspirational because you came from an injury. What early signs of like, oh, this is really working on my body? Because obviously it's such a big injury that you suffered. When was like the tipping point where you're like, it's working?
Good question. Yeah, it was probably the first visit, which was just really surprising. I went in there not expecting anything. I go, this is sort of a last resort. I doubt they could help me. Let me try it. And when I walked out of there, I felt probably like twice as good as when I walked in. And I go, this is amazing. Immediately I could move my shoulder. It was a shoulder injury, but I could get my arm overhead. I got back on my bike and I felt confident. I go, I don't know if this guy's like a witch doctor, but like he did something.
It was like witchcraft.
Yeah, but like witchcraft. But I just wanted to learn more about it, and I figured there was a lot to learn about. And so when I did that, I go, wow, this is cool stuff. This is really nice. And it also didn't feel like the doctor kind of visit where you go in and it's like you've got this person with the white coat on and you feel kind of nervous around them. You can't ask them questions. I felt very comfortable. It almost felt like a friendship. You know, this is cool. Like he's a doctor, but he also feels like a mentor at the same time, or a friend.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, typically, I'd say any chiropractor I've been, you guys are usually flexible and comfortable. It's nice. What are the most common injuries that you see, you know, people coming into your practice?
Being here in the Bay Area, definitely workplace injuries. So yeah, just lots of common neck, shoulder pain, or even the lower back pain. We do dive into other things as well, such as sports injuries. It just depends, you know, but I'd say most commonly it's like the neck and shoulders, and most people think it's from posture, but there's just lots of things that you can dive into when it comes to that. Like it's just really about cleaning up habits. Maybe we introduce a little bit of strength training. I think most of us are just deconditioned. I mean, we don't do enough of the things that are helpful for us. We just work a lot, and proper rest, that's another thing. There's so many things you could dive into, but definitely like the workplace injury, that's most common right now.
Yeah, oh, I see. What are some good things people can do to prevent them before they come to the chiropractic, right? But let's say there's like in their mind, hey, I want to go to the chiropractic, but I'm not quite ready yet. What would you say, what can they implement beforehand, you know, in the timing?
More movement. I think it all comes down to movement, and a lot of times we get stuck in our old ways and we sit a lot, right? Or maybe we stand a lot, and there's always this battle of like poor posture versus good posture. But I think what it really comes down to is just getting out of one position and moving into another as much as you can throughout the day. So I would suggest like just move more. If that means, hey, I'm gonna go into like a Barry's boot camp class, that's pretty extreme, but that's something you can do. Or maybe go on a walk. Just start walking daily. Or at work, you know, instead of sitting all day, stand a little bit, take a lap around the building, come back. Like there's so many things you could do, but keep it simple. And yeah, I think movement's probably one of the biggest things.
Ergonomics too, I'd say, and just so everybody knows, I think in every work, at least in California, like you're allowed to ask for certain things from your job for ergonomics, like to make you comfortable.
Definitely.
Yeah. So interesting you talk about mobility, because I had a previous guest that actually suffered from blood clot on her leg by just working, literally just working, no moving a lot. And then one day it was like she suffered a condition where it like completely froze and she couldn't move from her couch.
Yeah.
And she was like, we would call it skinny fat, right? Like, because she was really, looks great, right? Skinny and everything, but like inside she was not performing well. Have you seen cases like that coming to you?
Yeah, very rarely. That's definitely a red flag that we look for in the exam, which is why the exam is always very important to make sure that the pain that you're dealing with isn't visceral, meaning it's coming from a deeper rooted problem. It might not be the standard, oh, my calf is sore because I ran a marathon. It could be a lot more serious, like a deep blood clot, right? Which is what your friend was probably dealing with, is what it sounds like. Yeah, that's a dangerous thing. It's very scary too, because it could go very bad quickly. So yeah, and that's a funny point that you bring up though, is like body composition. You might look healthy on the outside, but that doesn't always translate to how you're doing on the inside. So take care of yourself now so you don't have to worry about it later. That's kind of my motto, right? It's like what you do today is going to set up your future.
Thankfully, she went to the doctor really quickly, to the hospital. Emergency, I believe. They even said like if it would have gone a little bit higher in your leg, you could have lost your leg.
Wow.
I mean, it's
scary.
Pretty scary.
Yeah, it's like moments, right? You just have to get in as soon as possible. Hey, that's a great story, right? It'd motivate me to want to help other people too, so it doesn't happen to them. And you can kind of like blend that in with workplace ergonomics. So going back to how we don't move enough, when we don't move enough, we're kind of stagnant, and so is our blood flow. So something to know is our deep blood vessels are actually surrounded by muscle tissue. So when we move and muscles contract, we actually squeeze and push blood vessels to get blood from, like, let's say the foot back up to the heart. So it's cycling through and it's not stagnant. So that's an important thing you can think about. So even if you're at the desk and you're sitting down and you're doing maybe some calf raises,
something as simple as that.
Yeah, you're using those muscles. You're pumping that blood up. So there's so many things you can do. And you should do that on an airplane ride. You know, you're stuck, you're confined in a seat, and you could always move. You could do seated cat-cows, I don't know, pelvic tilts, bring a lacrosse ball, roll out. Like there's so many things, right? You don't just have to sit there and suffer.
Okay. What qualifies as a good patient to come to you, even though they may think, hey, I don't need a chiropractor?
Yeah, you don't have to be in pain to come in.
That's awesome.
And I think that's like the biggest misconception, is like I have to be hurting, have to be like to the point where I've tried everything else and then I come to a chiropractor. And that's what I did. So I get it. I resonate with that. But if you're just someone that's looking to enhance your health, maybe you want to know where you're at in terms of mobility, in terms of strength, in terms of posture, or how well you move, you can come in. You know, you don't have to wait till you're hurt. In fact, most of my patients that are more maintenance supportive patients, our goal is just to keep you healthy. How can we stay ahead of the curve? Best way I would describe that.
Awesome.
But if you're active, you're into like, you know, bettering your health and you want to improve, you're motivated, of course, I would love to work with you. That doesn't mean I don't want to work with you, but it's that much better, because when you're motivated, you work toward it, you see the results. When you win, I win. That's kind of the way I see it.
I love that. I actually found you through my gym, which was great.
You were one of my first patients actually here at this clinic.
I was. Yeah, I found you in the gym. Like, you left your business card and I came to you and you really relieved my pain. It was really great. So I found you through the gym, and I want to know, do you work with multiple gyms also?
Yeah, so the way that we do partnerships with the gym is it's a very casual, soft partnership. I'll go in there and I'll give out complimentary care for any, you know, members that come in and want to try it out. I'm also there just to answer any medical related questions. Maybe they're dealing with an injury, that sort of thing. I don't work for the gym. I just come in and help people out. I work on maybe the trainers or the owner of the gym and that sort of thing. But it's a great way for me to get exposure to more people and also give back to the community a little bit with complimentary care. I think most people like free care.
Awesome. So yeah, you guys should reach out and see if he's already at your gym. He could already be here.
I would love to come through. Yeah, it'd be awesome. You know, more than happy to help.
You know, somebody who just started, maybe they're a biology major, right? I was a biology major. And this is something perhaps that they resonate with. How do you recommend they start? in this career path?
Oh, in this career path, man, you really have to know that you want to do it. I think you have to have a deep-rooted passion for helping people, getting people stronger. Whatever that goal is that you have to have it because it's a tough, long journey to get there.
Yeah.
Lots of school, and you just get over the hurdles and whatnot. But yeah, definitely know that you want to do it because it's not going to be an easy road. Once you get out of school and you're done, you pass your board exams and everything else, it's a lot of fun, but you have to be able to grind through it, and it sucks. Every chiropractor you talk to will tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully you've got a passion for helping people. I think that's the best part of my job is, you know, seeing the look on people's faces after their first visit or once we've reached their goals and they're just really excited about it. Like I love it. Like it never gets old. So I think that's why I do it.
Yeah.
It's just fun.
Do you have an inspirational story that really make you realize, oh my God, I want to do this forever? You know,
like with
a patient that you helped and like it really impacted you and impacted the patient.
Goes back to when I was a student. So in school, there's a period where you go through clinicals and it's just for a few months. And sometimes you're passed down patients. You're allowed to go bring your own patients into the school clinic. And I was passed down a very complex case. And it was with an individual that had cerebral palsy, which is a pretty, significant condition. And initially I was like, heck no.
It's very debilitating.
Totally. I didn't think I could help this person. I go, there's no way that I'm going to do anything for this person. That was my initial thought.
Right.
And so I met him. He's a great person. And we created a treatment plan based off of his previous experiences and with what I knew. And turned out like I was able to help him in many different ways I never would have imagined. And it wasn't about fixing his problem. It was more about improving what we could improve on and giving him a better quality of life. And there were so many ways that we could do that. And I just didn't know that yet. So going through that, it was very eye-opening and it was just a great experience. And, he came in one day and we talked about his progress and he cried a little bit. I cried. I'm very emotional. And it was just it was a cool moment. And I just never would have thought that with him, I would have experienced that, but I did. And so I'm glad I did because now I know that there are more of those out there. And yes, maybe you think you can't help someone, but you never know till you try.
Wow, I love that story. That's so great. Just making every day a little better too. Sometimes we want the quick, fix me.
You might have.
Yeah, I wanted him, like honestly, when I first came here, I was just like, hey, Dr. Mike, like, can you fix me ASAP? Because I was already going to the gym. I'm pretty healthy, but I suffered an injury actually at the gym. It wasn't like I wanted to. Yeah. And one of the biggest things that I actually would love for you to share with people, because I actually was working out. I have a very long torso, and I was working out with my feet together. And so I would love for you to talk about that, like, of shifting your feet. It's such a great thing for balance, also preventing that like back injury, which I suffer. So can you share with the audience?
I think this kind of made me go backwards a little bit in our conversation about like workplace injuries or what's the most common injury. And I'd say a lot of times it's gym related injuries and it's in people that sit at a desk all day long. And a lot of times they go into these workouts a little deconditioned because they've just been so sedentary the whole day, and it's a lot easier to get hurt in that way. So we get them out of pain, we fix what's going on, but we also teach them, hey, maybe we need to clean up some of these habits so that way when you go into the gym, maybe set up a warm-up for yourself.
Warm-up is a big thing.
Prepare for that workout.
What do you advise for warm-up? Like how long and what are good exercises?
If you're me, quick. Like what can I do that's going to be the fastest thing possible so I could get to that workout quicker? But I would say you want to combine a few things. The first thing is going to be static stretching. If you could get some stretching into the areas that need it. That's another thing, like where do I need to stretch versus where do I need a foam roll or Theragun? Crossball.
Like let's say you're working arms, then you focus on stretching that area of the body?
In a sense. Or you could think of it this way. So let's say I've been sitting for 8 hours a day and I'm kind of hunched over because we've got to type, little by little we start to fall more forward. You think about the muscles in the front of our body are probably a little bit more tight because everything is being shortened, whereas the muscles in the back are being lengthened. So when I go into the gym, my mindset isn't, I need to stretch my back, because that's been stretching all day long. If anything, I need to open up the front. So I'm going up against the wall, I'm opening up my chest, or I'm getting my leg behind me. Maybe I'm standing in like a lunge to open up the front of the leg. And then for the back side, I'm doing more foam rolling. I'm compressing that tissue, getting a little bit of stimulus into that area. And that's the way I set it up. So that way, when I go into the workout, I'm kind of ready to go.
Awesome.
And I'm not going to break as easily.
Okay.
You can still break, but it'll take longer.
What about people that are on the opposite side? They're standing all day long.
Mm-hmm.
What do you recommend them stretching?
Similar, about the same. To simplify it, like what I do is I'll do some static stretching, which is basically like, let's say I'm stretching my chest, go up against the wall, and I just hold for maybe 10 seconds, 12 seconds, whatever I think is sufficient. And then after that, I go into the foam rolling. So I foam roll whatever needs to be foam rolled. And then after that, I do more dynamic warming up. So I could be walking, I'm doing butt kicks, or maybe I'm doing the leg, into the hand thingy, pulling my knee to my chest. I'm just moving in different planes of movement. And then once I feel ready, I jump right in. And that should only take you like 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, so I'd say 10 minutes is a good amount.
Yeah, if it's taking you more than that, you might be overdoing it, or you're doing too much of it.
Or you don't want to get into your workout.
Or you're avoiding something in that workout. Leg day. But if you're lazy, like some days I'm very lazy and I just want to make it simple, I'll hop on the assault bike. That's the bike with the big fan wheel and I just crank on that for like 5 minutes, get the blood flowing. I'm like, all right, let's do this.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I really like that.
Of course.
So we talked about warm up, and now I want to talk about recovery, because we don't think too much about warming down. I know most athletes in sports, we do have the warm down. Especially, I used to swim for many, many years. So after you go on a race, you actually have to warm down. And I think runners do it as well. Mm-hmm. Like you don't just like race and then stop. It's not good for your body.
Right.
Why is the reason? Why that?
Yeah, a lot of it's like central nervous system.
The central nervous system.
Just like
down.
Yeah, like we're in like a state of fight or flight essentially when we work out. Heart rate's up, blood pressure's up. So to spend a couple minutes isn't a bad idea, just to kind of tone down, let everything desensitize. So that way you can get more into like a rest and digest mode. Yeah, for that reason. I think that's probably the most important reason. But then you add in stretching too. You add in the foam rolling again, and that is just there to help you recover quicker, so that way you can do that same workout again sooner. Yeah. You deal with that second day delayed onset soreness. If you recover better, that soreness isn't as aggressive. And that could also be a sign though that you're overdoing it. Like if you're really sore, you probably push too much. Yeah. And that's not good, just because then it's going to limit how quickly you can get back in the gym and do that workout again. So you add that up in the year and you're kind of losing time that way. So don't go 100% all the time. That's fine.
What are the top 3 things for recovery?
Yeah, it's nothing special. It's nothing that's out of the ordinary. It's just, for one, get rest. I don't think enough of us sleep enough. So making sure that you're actually getting into that deep sleep for a few hours, like 7 to 8 would be my recommendation. I'm not perfect at this. I don't think anyone is, but trying your best to get that in, because it is important. That's where we recover. That's where the muscles rebuild. That's where we get ready for the next workout, that sort of thing. So rest is number 1. Second would be nutrition. I think like actually getting adequate calories in, staying hydrated, doing your best there. Again, I'm not that great at that. I try to do my best. Just have it in mind. Be conscious of, hey, this matters, because it does. And I'm not going to get into that. Like, we don't have to get all detailed about it, but have a clean diet. Make sure you get a good source of protein. Carbohydrates, they're not bad for us. We need it. We just don't want anything in excess. So get that in. Make sure you get your dairy in there. And then just vitamins, minerals, get those cruciferous vegetables, dark greens, the very colorful fruits and veggies. Those are all good for us. But again, you just don't want to overdo anything or underdo anything. Just find that middle ground. Do your best, Have fun with it too. Make it tasty. Yeah. You can have fats, it's not a bad thing.
I love fat. I don't pay attention to the cholesterol.
Neither do I. Hey, you get rid of most of the cholesterol that you consume anyways.
If you're working out, you're fine. I think. If you're moving, I think you're fine.
Yeah, we shouldn't demonize anything, and we shouldn't demonize ourselves either. Like, we don't have to get it right every single time. Just do your best. Enjoy life too. You got to have balance.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. What's unique about your practice? Because everybody does it so differently. From anybody that wants to come to you, what do you think sets you apart from other
everyone else.
chiropractors?
Woo,
Yeah.
good questions.
Which is already, your personality is great, I have to say. He's so friendly. That helps a lot.
Thank you. Try to be. I
Yeah.
try to be. It's a big investment.
Yeah.
I understand that when someone comes in, it's a big investment. I don't take insurance. I'm cash only. And the reason for that is it allows me to treat the way that I want to treat. I don't have to go with the rules of an insurance company.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I know you shared that with me in the past. No, you share about insurance. Actually, I didn't do insurance with you, but you explain why you don't like with insurance. Can you explain that to the people?
Yeah.
Like they don't get the same care.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's important for people to know.
Yeah, most of the time you will not get the same quality of care if you go with an insurance-based practitioner. And I did that all of last year. I did accept insurance, and I tried my best to, but I'd go home knowing that there was a lot left on the table that I wasn't able to give because I didn't have the time.
Does the insurance limit you, right?
They limit you in the sense that they don't pay for everything. So let's say you come in and you need soft tissue care, you need adjustments, and you also need therapeutic exercise, which is like the rehab stuff that we've done. And I said, you know what, like they're only gonna cover the soft tissue work, so that's all I can do for you. It's like itemizing everything, right?
Yeah.
And so if I wanna get paid, I have to see a lot of you now, because if I don't, I'm not gonna get paid out what I should be. And that's another thing. The way they pay you out, like the amount of money that you get from each person is not as much as you would think.
Yeah.
And so because of that, now I need to shorten up my visits so I could fit more of you in my day to then make ends meet, and it's just stressful.
You're delaying their recovery as well. Not by choice, but because of the system, right? They're stuck into the system.
It's just a tough place to be. And like you could still manage around it. Like I was a 10-minute visit last year. And I did pretty good with the 10 minutes. But it's like as soon as you walk in, we're getting right into it. We don't have the conversation of, hey, how are you? How are the kids? It's just like straight into it. And I didn't like that because I felt very pressured. And I didn't want to come off as someone that was just in here to like collect a payment from you. Like I did want to provide quality. I did want to catch up with you and get to know the person, right? But now I'm a 30 or 45-minute visit, which is like crazy to me. Like it's so much time that I have with someone. But again, that's because I'm out of pocket. And I just have a flat rate. And once you pay it, we can do everything that's necessary for you to get better.
Okay. Do you have different payment options, or are you flexible with the price? Because I know some people, that's the biggest, roadblock.
I try to be. I try to do the best I can there. We do packages with the incentive of, you save a little bit of money that way if you pay up front. For some people, which I don't recommend, is you come in and we do more of a supportive visit, which doesn't include the rehab, right? So it's like, if you want to go with that, it's going to cost less, obviously, but I won't spend the amount of time I would with a patient that's, paying full price. Like maybe we'll just stick to the soft tissue work, adjustments, and we'll talk about a few things, but we're not going to go through a full rehab program, because it takes time.
Yeah. But at least you're flexible.
Try to be.
I love that for the listeners.
Yeah, I'll always work with you. Like, and that's probably the worst thing about me when it comes to business is I work with too many people. I'm like, I want to help you.
Yeah.
I get it. Financials are not always the best. And it's tough, but I'll always do my best.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, we'll take a short pause for a sponsor. We'll be right back.
Today's episode is sponsored by RenovateMagicHub.com, your guide to transforming your home. Whether you're updating a room or planning a full makeover, Renovate Magic Hub provides tailored product suggestions to suit your style and budget. Visit RenovateMagicHub.com for inspiring and practical tips to create a space you'll love.
Welcome back, guys. Is there anything you see lately that's reoccurring?
Lots of lower back pain from injuries in the gym.
Okay.
And so a lot of times it could be a back strain. Maybe we're dealing with something that's a little deeper rooted, like a disc problem. But a lot of times it's something we did in the gym that really aggravated something in the lower back. And so something that I talk a lot about is how our leg is in correlation with our back. It has a lot to do with how everything functions above it. So I've got a model here, and I'll just kind of go over something that I discuss with patients a lot, and that is the fact that we've got multiple joints starting with like the hip, something to be aware of is this is a big complex joint and it's designed to do a lot of different movements. And so we want to make sure that that hip is capable of doing those movements. Why wouldn't it be able to do that? Maybe we don't expose it enough to those positions. Maybe we're confined to that desk too much, right? Or we're not working on mobility. When we're younger, we sit on the floor, we're always running around.
Yeah, twisting and
Doing weird things, right?
Yeah.
But all that's good, because it keeps the hip healthy. So what's next in line would be the knee. And when we look at the knee, it's a very stable joint. So we've got this hinging mechanism of going up and down, but we don't have much rotation or deviation to the side. It's just the way that we are built structurally.
Yeah.
And so then you go to the foot and you'll see it's another very complex joint. It does all kinds of movements just like the hip does.
Yeah.
So something to be aware of is when, say, the hip gets tight and they're not working the way that they should, we start to ask for help. And so what's the next thing in line? Well, we've got the knee or we've got the lower back, which is above the hip, obviously. And so when we start to get deep in a squat, let's say, and we've run out of room in the hip, we start to incorporate that lower back system, right, or the pelvis, and so that's where we can run into issues because now we're stressing a structure in a way that it's not designed to be stressed in.
Yeah.
And so just a common thing that I just discuss with people to kind of get them to think about how important it is to keep this moving and the foot moving.
Yeah.
So
let's say they're in the middle of a workout and all of a sudden you see, squats is one of the common ones, like you said. You engage in your back and you feel it. And I think most people just keep going through the pain. What do you recommend, to go back to, the right movement? Because you were talking about the hip. Let's say you're in the middle of the squat and you're like, okay, I don't want to really stop doing this, but also don't want to hurt my back. So I'm feeling the back pain. Something's wrong. What's the next thing I should do?
This isn't always going to be the right answer, but the thing I would start to think about is what am I doing that's creating this issue? Why does my back hurt? Is it the fact that I'm losing my core brace because maybe I've fatigued and I can't maintain that? Is it my foot pressure? Maybe I'm falling onto my heels a lot. Or is it the fact that I didn't warm up enough? Maybe I'm just not ready to load up that squat. I mean, the squat, man, it requires a lot out of you. Right? I mean, you think about just your shoulders alone.
A lot of engagement.
Yeah, just being able to hold that bar on your back without popping your chest up, like that's a lot. So if you feel like maybe you're overarching and that's stressing the lower back, maybe go back on the floor and warm up those shoulders a little bit more. So that way that's not creating stress in other places. So it depends, but I would say just think about where you're feeling it and why you might be feeling it. And do you need to go backwards in that warm up and do a couple more things before you go back to the squat, or just not squat that day and pick something that's a little bit easier, like a hack squat or a leg press. Today is just not the day. I'm not feeling it, and that's totally normal. Just alternate, do something else. It's not worth getting hurt.
Awesome. Thank you. That's a good point. I see a lot of social media, people just throwing, hey, you should do this, you should do that. What do you recommend for people to be on lookout, when they're looking at a social media influencer or doctor or whatever it be? It's a good advice, and what doesn't align with good advices, on social media?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say always be a little bit concerned. Like, take everything you hear with a grain of salt, because there's no quick fix to anything. Nothing.
Absolutely.
If you see a post and it says, if you do this, you'll be out of back pain, it's just ridiculous to me, because you have to know so much more about the person to know what they need. You can't just say, hey, you have low back pain, do this one thing and you'll be fine. So if you see that, just be a little bit, hesitant toward that. Like, try it, it might help. But that'd be one thing to look out for. And then I would say just try to find people that are reputable. Like, if they have a good client base, they're doing well for themselves, people trust them, then listen to those people. But always be a little cautious, because you never know. Just be careful with advice that you hear about. I do that too. Like, I put out content and try to help people.
I follow him on Instagram. So we'll share your handle later.
Yeah, we'll share that. And that, like, for me, I just put things out there that I've seen that have helped for other people, or maybe things that I have dealt with. And then I try something and it helps me. So then I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm going to put this out there. Hopefully it'll help someone else. It's not going to help 100% of the people, but hopefully I'll get a few. One thing I wanted to say too is, like, you have to be your own health advocate. You have to be, because no one's going to look out for you more than yourself. So if you feel you're with someone, it could be a medical doctor, it could be a chiropractor, anyone. If you feel like you get this sketchy vibe. Maybe
Okay.
you're not getting the right treatment. Like, no, that's something to be said about, right? So maybe go talk to someone else.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, my podcast, it's all about culture. Switching gears a little, I know your background, you are multicultural. So I wanted you to talk about it. And has that influenced in your career or your life in general?
Yeah, so my mom is El Salvadorian, and so she was born there, came over to the States when she was about 7. My dad was born here in the US. He's Italian, so I've got this mixed Italian Salvadorian culture. I think the one thing I could say about both of them is they're very hardworking. So from a very young age, I kind of adapted this really good work ethic because I just saw how hard they worked.
Yeah, I'm sure they were very proud of you to become a chiropractor too.
Yeah, they still talk about that. They're like, "Oh, you're a doctor." I mean, I don't even like see it that way,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, they definitely taught me that, hey, if you want to do something, you're gonna have to work hard toward it. Like, yes, you can do it, but just know it's not gonna be easy.
Yeah.
And so I think the one thing I can thank them for is probably that, because I've always felt that way, and it's helped me in not just my business now, but also sports growing up. And I mean, I've just had lots of lessons along the way, and they were always right. You know, you never want to listen to your parents, but they always know what's best for you. So, yeah, I'm just lucky enough to have parents that, raised me and cared for me and showed me the way.
Awesome. That's great. This is a difficult question I get to ask on every guest on my podcast. Do you feel like you're living your American dream?
Yeah, I guess so. I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I'm in a position to where I can help people the way I've always wanted to. Since I was a kid, I always wanted to help people. I didn't know how.
Okay.
But growing up, I was always like that friend that you'd come talk to about problems.
And you would be solving them.
Not solving them, but like helping them work through it. I just,
I
enjoyed that. I don't know, it made me feel good. It was exhausting though too, because you take in all that energy. But then, I got into sports and I learned about injuries and that sort of thing, worked with physical therapists and other providers, and I go, this is pretty cool. Like, what if I could help athletes? So then I started to switch gears, and it was still about helping people, but just in that specific way. Being able to help people, and now to do it in a way that's very close to what my interests are. Like I work with lots of gym goers like yourself, or active individuals who hurt themselves like we all do at some point. And so to be able to help them, or even people that are just struggling to do normal things, like maybe it's I can't pick up my child without my back hurting.
A very common injury for women with kids and parents in general, like the back is the one thing that suffers.
It is, yeah, common. Just being able to get people back to doing the thing that matters to them and makes them feel better about themselves. Like that to me is why I do it. Like I just love that. It's cool to be able to help people in that way. So I think, I'm living my dream. This is all I've ever wanted. Now I just have to build it up and see more people and help more people. But I would say so.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. All right, so I like to wrap up the podcast, but I wanted to ask you the question of the last guest, something fun I do, and then you get to leave a question for the next one.
Gotcha.
So the previous guest said you could gain a skill overnight. What would it be and why?
First thing that pops in my head is being able to play the guitar. I don't know why, but I'd love to know how to play the guitar. I just love music. And if I could make music, I don't know, that'd be cool. Yeah, I'd be like the chiropractor who plays guitar. I don't know. Guitar playing. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
What would be your question for the next guest?
Ah, man, that's a tough one. I would say if there was no issue with financials, if money wasn't a problem, and you could do anything or be anywhere today, where would that be or what would that be?
Ooh, that's a good one. And it can be really hard, right? Because people have so many stuff.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Mike, where can people find you?
I would say Instagram is probably where I'm most active. Yeah, so mfontana_chiro. That's where you could find me.
Okay.
Probably the best place.
Okay, I'll go ahead and tag you in the video. And then I will also put your website as well or your email there so people can reach out. It's been a pleasure having you.
It's been a pleasure being on the podcast.
Thank you for teaching our listeners today a little bit more about how to stay active and mobile. Well, guys, this was all. Make sure you guys leave a comment, reach out to him, say, hey, I heard you from Siris Says. Alrighty, guys, we'll see you. Take care.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you, Siris.
Thanks for listening to Siris Says. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and drop a like. Share your thoughts in the comments and stay tuned for more inspiring stories. Until next time, keep chasing those dreams.